I guess one of the things that I was thinking about in posing the question is that it seems to me that in this branded world, if you will, under globalization, the place of the visual seems to have increased.
There's no doubt, there's no question about that. I mean, everybody's walking around with things to look at, whether they're iPhones or iPads or, you know, everybody's looking at things, yes, and not just things to look at, but things that move. It isn't good enough that it should be static. A symbol can't be static. A symbol has to jump about a bit because that's the way you see it. Yes, sure, that's absolutely right. And I think that that's becoming more and more and more aggressive as a component of the way in which the brand expresses itself. I think that's true, yeah.
And that's a segue into my last question, which is that since I'm involved in the process of putting together a new program here at IE that focuses on visual communication, I wondered if you have any advice for people who might be interested in visual communication and branding, as far as how to be successful in the kind of world we live in and the kind of world we can anticipate living in.
Metrics are becoming more and more and more important. Prove it, guarantee it, focus groups, check it out on the web. What do people think? Put it in a store. If they buy 6, put it somewhere else and they may buy 10. All that stuff. Now, some of it's real and some of it's useful, but a lot of it is witchcraft. A lot of it is exactly the same as believing in mysteries and spirit. This faith that people have in numbers is, to a very large extent, absolutely, utterly absurd. If you look at the way Facebook was valued and undervalued and overvalued and half valued in 2 or 3 weeks ago, you can see that. So the problem that young designers will have, or visual communicators will have, is that people will keep on saying to them, prove it, all the time. And that will mean that they will have to do more research, much of which will be completely phony and a waste of time, in order to demonstrate that the ideas that they have created are commercially viable. That's the bad bit. The good bit is that we now are living in a world which is moving towards the end of Western hegemony. Everybody can see this. So what we took for granted, it was Western, so it was best, whether it was American or European or whatever, that's going, and it's going quickly. And what that means is that ideas from, visual ideas as well as every other idea, from civilizations that come from very different cultural backgrounds, Indian, Indonesian, Chinese, everything, African, Nigerian, they will become more and more and more significant. These people will be able to pick up the elements that have so far been neglected or overlooked, and they will be able to use these in ways which we can't think of because we're not familiar with the culture, which will mean that there will be much more opportunity for visual ingenuity than there has so far been, because the cultures again, because the cultural sweep will be so much broader. Well, I happen to think that's a good thing, but you can take a different view on it if you like. So I think it's going to be good and bad. The third thing is movement. Static isn't good enough. It's got to move. That doesn't mean I don't believe books will die. I don't believe newspapers will die. I don't believe any of that stuff. When television came, everybody said radio died. It didn't die. It just morphed into something else. Newspapers will not die. Magazines will not die. The whole world of static graphic imagery will not die. But there will be other worlds moving around it, and they will be very, very important. I mean, if you think about your grandchildren, not mine, but yours, the confusion they will have to face because of the choice they have is unimaginable, but it will be there.
I want to thank you ever so much for speaking with us and for coming here to Madrid and for addressing what is going to be a very packed room tonight. So
thank you very much. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I love coming to Madrid. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good questions.